Hello, my pretties. It's Lion Queen here, and today we are going to be, reviewing this horror movie from 2011. It's an American monster horror comedy film directed by Fred M. Andrews, based on the screenplay by him and Tracy Morris. And the film is set in the bayou of Louisiana, in a group of where this movie is called Creature. Now, this movie came out in 2011, and it is, it's like almost a 12-year-old movie. As well, it's going to be 12 years old by 2023 in September. So I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and, get over with this, review, because, yeah, I gotta say, this is honestly a pretty good movie for, what this is. So, yeah, this movie definitely has got some pretty great acting, like Sid Haig, who happens to be, very known for a lot of his movies. He's been in so many movies. Unfortunately, though, he passed away back in 2019. So, how he died, some people say was hospitalized. He was hospitalized after falling at his home. And while recovering, he had pneumonia and contracted some illness, and he pretty much passed away at that time. But he was in a lot of other movies. I've seen, like, a couple of his movies, like, Hatchet, the third Hatchet movie, I was surprised he was in, although I do plan to review that one in the future. He was in, Night of the Living Dead 3D. He was in, like, lots of other movies, so I thought I would go ahead and review this movie. Now, this is like a Lockjaw based movie, so for any of you guys who are wondering about this movie, of what it's about, feel free to let me know in the comments below. But before then, I'm going to get started with reviewing this movie and give it some plots. Some of the stuff that I will not be saying what happens in it is kind of NSFW, but yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into the detail of the NSFW stuff, but I'll give you some hints of what you guys will expect. So, anyways, this is about a group of young adults, Oscar and Karen, and Beth and her Marine veterinary boyfriend Randy, and the latter's sister Emily and her boyfriend Niles, who is an ex-Navy SEAL, are traveling through the backwoods of the town of Fort Collins, Louisiana, where they pull over at a rundown gas station. And while Oscar discovers the shrine to a local legend of Lockjaw, the townies give the boys directions to a house built by Grimley himself. And a local tourist attraction said that they were hesitant to explore, but only Oscar and Beth seemed interested and convinced the others to go with them en route, as Oscar tells them the legend of Lockjaw. So, basically, this takes place a long time ago, where Grimley Bounty and his sister Caroline were the last two remaining members of their clan. And that was when incest was a part of their family heritage. But, I know I don't support incest or anything, but this was taken, back, a long time ago, back when, inbreeding was common. But that was, long time ago. We're talking about years back, way years back. And basically, it was no surprise that the wife was carrying his child. However, the two were madly in love due to being married, but the day before their wedding, an albino alligator dragged Caroline off to the swamp, and Grimley sought out the gator in hopes that he would find her alive, but instead he comes to her being devoured in a corpse filled with a half-flooded mine tunnel. So, however, though going insane, Grimley killed the gator with his bare hands before eating his flesh, and then consuming the flesh of his sister, along with every other piece of flesh in the cave, slowly dissolving and becoming half human and half alligator himself. So the others who disbelieved the story, they have to arrive at Grimley's house, unaware that they were being stalked by something in the swamp. They eventually when they got there, they set up for camp in the night near the Grimley house for an evening drinking, having fun. Well, meanwhile, one of the shop patrons, Grover, is slaughtered by an unseen beast on the riverbank after ignoring warnings not to defy Grimley. Randy eventually leaves the group to go up to get more beer from the truck, returning just in time to interrupt Karen from taking advantage of a drunken Beth. And of course, Emily and Niles have gone off on their own, admit their love and devotion before they end up going at it. However, Oscar secretly is taking photos, but Karen finds them, and I'm not really going to say what she does, but it's pretty NSFW though. But of course, when he takes some photos of the couple, Oscar refuses to, do something with Karen. She walks off, but gets knocked out by Chopper, who is the owner of the store they had come across, and it's revealed to Oscar and Karen that both his children, which is surprising, and subsequent to Lockjaw himself. So he takes Karen away, and Randy witnessed this and sees Lockjaw before running off into the woods. Oscar collapses on Emily and Niles, claiming that Randy had attacked him. Niles leaves Emily to go treat Oscar's shock as he goes off to search for Randy. So Randy and Niles both encounter Lockjaw and run, coming across a highway they had supposedly got far off away from the track earlier. However, they return to look for Emily, only to be stopped by one of the shop workers who had held them at gunpoint. Niles is able to kill them, but Lockjaw gruesomely murders Randy. So afterwards, Beth wakes up in a drunken unconsciousness in her tent, having to be moved to a deeper, darker cave. As she emerges from it, she discovers Lockjaw eating one of his victims and lets out a horrified scream, and it is a chance that she was presumably be killed by Lockjaw, Karen having to be set up as a sacrifice to him. Her feet had been cut off by her father to lure Lockjaw from the underground, saying that it must be done for the family. After he leaves, Lockjaw emerges from the cave below in the shack, seems to recognize her by the necklace by Chopper, but put around her neck, the same one that belonged to his sister. Niles eventually finds Karen dead and then comes across her cabin and gets attacked by Oscar, but quickly dispatches him with a machete. So afterwards, sneaking into Lockjaw's cave to save Emily, that's when they manage to find a brief before she's taken to Chopper and his followers. So with Lockjaw throwing Niles into the river to drown or become food to the gators, Chopper says to Emily that Lockjaw has chosen her to become his next bride, quote-unquote. Niles, who is alive, eventually follows the party gathering in the ritual to allow Grimly to impregnate Emily. During the ceremony, Niles attacks, and after receiving a brutal beating from the overpowering Lockjaw, he manages to knock him into a sinkhole to drown, but he unties Emily, but as Niles is retrieving her, Lockjaw attacks again, pulling Emily into the hole, with Niles following her. So later at dawn, Emily and Niles, who is holding the jaw of Lockjaw, emerge from the sinkhole as they manage to make them back to their truck. And, however, they manage to ride off into the rising sun, away from the place. However, sometime later, probably months or whatever, Chopper arrives at their refurbished Grimly cabin, which he is hoping with family and friends in a huge celebration. It is later revealed that Beth, who had survived her ordeals with Lockjaw, now has a baby, and who Chopper seems to is sure to grow up to be strong like his daddy. It is shown that the baby's face is somewhat mutated, and that's when the screen goes dark, and that's when the movie ends. This was a pretty good story, and I really have to say that when I saw this movie, I honestly really enjoyed it. I mean, I honestly really liked it. I saw this back in 2005 or something. Not 2005. I saw this back in 2012 or 2013. It's honestly a really good story, and I really do like the plot line of it. It's a pretty good horror film. I mean, especially for people who like horror movies like myself and some other people. But I have to say, and it's a pretty awesome movie. So basically, Creature was initially going to be a graphic novel called Lockjaw, but Paul Mason, who is an executive producer, suggested to Andrews that it might be better done as a film. Andrews, who has worked as a production designer, decided to redirect. The film's incest themes were influenced by H.P. Lovecraft's of Chuchomethos, which is a ritual inbreed cult who worshipped inhuman creatures. More background on the creature was the original script, but however, though, it did not make it into the film. The creature, which in the early stages just was a serial killer in a slasher film, but eventually converted to more of a mutant. So, yeah. So this honestly was a pretty good movie for what it is. I mean, I understand some people didn't really like this movie, but I personally thought it was a pretty neat movie with, the fact of the concept of it. I mean, it was pretty interesting. I mean, maybe not the best movie I've seen, but I've definitely seen some other movies that look pretty good, like especially with the whole concept of it, especially with, the fact that, Lockjaw is out there killing a bunch of people, and apparently, it was like a half gator mutant. And I mean, the fight scenes were pretty brutal too. I mean, I like the fight scenes. I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. But although they could have been better, yes, but however, it is pretty interesting for what this is, for what a story is supposed to be. So, like I said, it's a pretty interesting concept for a story, and I personally thought it was really nice for a movie to be, an interesting concept. And, it's not taking place in a haunted house. It's not taking place, it's kind of taking place in the Bayou area, kind of similar to how Hatchet was, but the Hatchet movies did. But this one, in my opinion, it did pretty good, though, just like how the other movies did. But I definitely gotta say, it's a really awesome film. And it really does have a really good state of, the concept about it. I mean, the fact that Lockjaw, the monster, they made him look really fantastic and all, and they made it like a really cool half human gator monster thing. I mean, it kind of reminded me of, some mutants that you probably see. But this is actually one of the movies that actually did pretty good for a movie like this. So, in my opinion, I recommend this movie if you are new to horror movies or whatever, because it's a pretty good movie. I mean, yeah, I know there is a few other ones that I've seen, but this one is definitely one movie I recommend seeing, as it has a pretty good concept for this movie. I mean, I like the Lockjaw concept. I mean, it's kind of almost similar to, the Hatchet one, but except this one was different, though, with a different plot and everything. So I definitely gotta say, it's an awesome job of a movie. I really thought it was neat. I do recommend watching it if you haven't. And I'm gonna say right now, like I'm always gonna say, it's simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these movies, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. So I'm gonna give this movie I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. It's a pretty good movie. It does have a good concept and all, and I do find it to be really amazing. However, it does have ups and downs in this movie, but like I said, that's just my opinion on the movie. So, but with that being out of the way and said, I'm gonna simply say, hey, that if you like this movie, that's pretty cool, but if you don't like this movie, that's fine too. I respect your opinion if you don't like it, as, I understand not everyone's into the same movie, so, yeah. But with that being the case, and with that being said, let me sit here and say right now that this is just simply my own opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine too. So anyways, I guess with that being said and that being the case, what do you guys personally think of this story? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below, because I personally would like to hear what you guys think. I'm the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Feel free to leave the bell to turn the notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, see you all next time.